Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mind of Sai Marie. Today's episode is one that speaks straight to the heart of myth, creativity, and resilience. I'm honored to be joined by KT Anglehart, a visionary author whose work blends magic, emotional truth, and cultural storytelling. KT's writing invites us into worlds where myth and memory converge, offering both escape and empowerment.
Thank you, and that's a very esteemed introduction there. Appreciate it.
Of course. So, KT, can you share the story of the origin of your journey into authorship and what first compelled you to write?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like one of those things where I think any creative person can relate. They feel an attraction to that creative outlet, right? And I've always just loved the idea of storytelling, whether that wasn't written down yet at a young age. I just like, oh, I loved relaying things like, oh, this thing happened, and then I loved watching TV and like reacting out the scenes, and reading books and telling people what I just read. And I realized I loved writing when I entered like a storytelling competition in school. And I hated the actual speaking part, the public speaking aspect, but they kind of like voted me into the next round. And I was like, no thanks. Like, I'd rather just quietly like write and not perform. So I think at a young age, I knew I liked writing stories, and I'm lucky I realized that soon. So I just haven't stopped, and I knew I would get to it. I just kind of pivoted a little. I did some journalism school, and then like I was like, you know what? I'm done distracting myself. I got to write a book. Like I got to write a book. It's just back of my mind, kind of nagging at me. So I got a master's in creative writing, and I knew that my thesis project would be a book, and that's how it all began.
That is so awesome. So, your work often blends myth, magic, and emotional truth. How did your personal experiences shape that creative
Such deep questions. So, I've traveled across Ireland and Scotland and kind of absorbed as much as I possibly could and read up on the local stories. I spoke to a lot of local people. I just couldn't get over the rich culture and history and folklore and everything I was learning. And I just did my best to sort of weave in the ones that stuck with me most into the magic and into the storyline and the setting, of course, because so much of that beautiful culture and myth is so much of the myth is tied to the landscape. So it just kind of like came together, if that makes sense.
That is amazing. I'm really glad that you got to go to Ireland and experience that. So, as an author, what was the turning point when you realized storytelling was not just about passion, but vocation?
When I realized, like people were doing it for a living, and I was like, why do I have to be the corporate person and like force myself I kept doing the jobs I didn't want to do. And I was never those types, those like, those awesome people that could just like keep climbing that corporate ladder and like killing it and doing so well. And like all my friends are such high achievers and they're doing fantastic in their fields. And I kept kind of being unhappy with that. And I was like, why can't I just make this my thing? It's possible, right? So while I do freelance and I do enjoy that balance of like technical mindset, like I'll do some technical writing or editing, and I do like that. I like kind of getting out of my head too. It helps. I knew that creativity, writing stories, like that's the thing that I would continue to focus on. And I think anyone, like if they focus on anything, it's what's that saying? Where focus goes, energy flows. So yeah.
Yes, that's it too. So you've cultivated a readership that resonates deeply with your themes. What does that connection look like in practice, and what stories from readers have most moved you?
Yeah, no, when people, especially when readers reach out to me and they've told me how much it resonates, and it's honestly, do that, please. Like, contact your favorite author. You don't know if they'll read it or not, but they most likely will, and it'll mean so much to them. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And they'll reach out mostly on Instagram, or sometimes I'll get emails or a reply to a newsletter, which I love. I love look like feeling like I'm not just like shouting into the ether. So that's really nice. And what does it look like? What was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
Is there any story from one of your readers that has most moved you?
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny. I would say it's my audiobook narrator. So she kind of found me. She discovered my book. She's Irish, so that meant a lot to me of course, I'm like trying to do it justice, right? I'm never pretending that I'm Irish or anything like that. Of course not. And the main character is actually North American, so we do see things through her lens. But that meant so much that she says she felt represented well, and like the depiction of the landscapes were so beautiful, and the folklore weaved in, she just enjoyed so much. And then she said, "P.S. I'm an audiobook narrator. If ever you decide to do an audiobook, please allow me to audition." And I said, 100%, absolutely. And I don't even think it was a year later when I reached out and I said, "Hey, so you ready to audition?" And I'm actually going to be releasing it soon. So I don't know. I guess if it weren't for her for just reaching out and saying, "Hey, I enjoyed your story." Oh, and sorry that she reached out to invite me to her YouTube channel, like to have an interview. So that's how it kind of started. And I was like, that's just the nicest. Like it was so touching, and it led to something so big.
And that is the power of connection through social media. It really is awesome when you can see that happen.
No, definitely. Even if social media is it could be very draining, and I'm not one to I try not to browse too much. Like it gets to anyone, right? It's like a lot of comparing yourself and like, oh, I should be posting stuff like this. Why am I not posting enough? Da, da, da. But like when things like this happen, absolutely, it makes it all worth it.
Yes, and writing can be both solitary and communal in that way. So, how do you see technology and digital platforms enhancing the way that authors connect with their audiences today?
Yeah, there's so many ways now. It's not even just Instagram. So I love that you can kind of choose what you're most comfortable with now. So if your listenership's a lot of writers and they're daunted by things like Instagram, that has a lot of like video functions and editing and making things look really, really nice. Like, don't even worry. If you want to stick with writing, there's a Substack, which is a platform you can use to send out. It's kind of newslettery, but it's like to the public. And there's a paywall if you kind of get into things that you think people would be really interested in purchasing past a certain point. Like maybe you give like exclusive like advice or I don't know, writing prompts that help you every day or whatever. So it's such an interesting platform. So I would say like find the thing that you're comfortable with because it is worth making those connections. As simple as even like I know Facebook is dead to a lot of people, but I actually really love it for groups. I've met and found people like formatters, editors, that sort of thing. I've like kind of cultivated a community there with the wonderful writing groups that there are, and lots are focused around women writers and or YA groups, and you can ask readers what their favorite YA book is right now and just like, I don't know, see if you can write it as a comparable in your Amazon listing. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways you can connect with people.
And Substack is actually where the Mind of Sai Marie is first posted, and so you can also host podcasts. It is a very, very
Amazing.
multifunctional. Yes, and they have the RSS set up, so I do everything with this podcast through Substack first, and then it is pushed out to the other platforms from there. So I am very big on the Substack model. It is very helpful for me.
So I didn't even know that. That's amazing to know.
So yes, always good to let people know about these various different communities because you never know who you're going to meet and what could happen next from that. And that's the beauty of working in the creative field. So,
For sure.
creativity and healing often intersect in your work. How do you see literature functioning as both therapy and empowerment?
So it is a therapy. Like I said about creative outlets, like whichever one makes you feel more yourself is the one you should just keep doing without thinking of the outcome. And that's the key, I think, trying to detach an outcome from it. Because I think you write because you have to. A lot of writers will describe it as like, no, but what it feels like is I'm gonna die if I don't. Is as dramatic and completely ridiculous as that sounds. It's like it hurts so much not to, right? You have to pour it out of you somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bottling up the untold story is absolute agony for a creative. That is so true.
Oh my god, exactly. Thank you. You feel it's cathartic and it just makes you, like, feel all the feels, you know? And, in terms of empowerment, I mean, yeah, once you finish that project of yours, my god, does it ever feel like you just ran a marathon. My brother actually ran a marathon and very proud, and my sister-in-law, I could never do it, but, like, the feeling that they had that they were describing and, like, the work that they put in and how hard it was, and they've been training for a year and all these things. I'm like, this is how I feel. I feel like I run a marathon when I publish a book because of it's hard. It's not an easy feat. No matter what happens after the fact, you wrote and published a book, even the publishing part. And if you're traditional or indie, it's still a lot of work. It's still a lot to take into account. It's a lot of details. If you're self-publishing, you're making all the decisions. So you better believe, like, you should feel empowered. Like, this is something that you took on and owned and can therefore, like, relay to others if you want to share some of the wisdom and the lessons you've learned. There's so many around it. um
I agree with all of those points. Many emerging authors face barriers in publishing. How do you uplift and amplify their work? And what advice would you share for them?
you gotta leave reviews for sure to amplify other authors' work. That just came to mind right away. It helps so much more than you think. Like, even just like you leaving one review on Amazon will just, like, entice someone else to leave a review on Amazon or, like, Goodreads. It's just, and it helps. It helps find readers. It helps for, like, other people to relate to the book and see if they like it, if it's their thing. Even negative reviews actually is helpful, because how often have I read a negative review and I'm like, "Oh, well, this is because it's a reader that cares about this, this, and this, and I really don't care about those things, so I will like this book." Just to say,
Basically, the main part of the question is just about how to break down those barriers and lacks of confidences that authors might have, and ways that they could amplify their work and readers can amplify their work, which the review is definitely the number one way. So you were right in the ballpark with that one. But is there any specific advice that you would share for the authors themselves on how to deal with those barriers?
the
Like
barriers, of course.
maybe those feelings of discontentment if they don't have, the 50 reviews that's this person might have, and they only got 5 and maybe only 2 or 5 stars, you know what I mean?
No, 100%. Just so outside, just I think you have to remember it's so outside of your control at a certain point. Um, unless you feel like you haven't done all the things. So, like, what's important is that, have you done the things you're comfortable doing? Have you maybe added it to some book tours? Have you tried those things that maybe aren't too costly? Book tours can be like $30. Like, you don't have to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars in Facebook ads. Like, we're not saying that. Have you done newsletter swaps with authors? That's free. Have you interacted with authors on social, asked them to read your book, provide you with a blurb? What else? Have you, like, visited local bookstores, asked them, hey, can I do a signing here? Like, that's a little hype. That's brings community together. Have you tried to do workshops in your area to, like, get yourself known? Maybe you enjoy teaching people writing and you didn't even realize it. Like, so once you know you've done the things that you're comfortable doing, I think just be happy with that. Whatever outcomes comes of it, because the rest is algorithm, and it's just hard. It's very, very hard. Just remember, we're like a needle in a haystack sometimes, especially with really popular genres. Like, mine's a huge category. It's very difficult sometimes to get in front of people. I don't have thousands of reviews, and it's fine. Like, it's okay, because maybe, when the trilogy is all together, like, published, and the audiobook format is out, then people will be more compelled to leave reviews, or, like, it'll be discovered by a whole other market I didn't even know, like, existed. So just keep going. Like, just do it because you love it. Do it the best way you can and move on to the next subject, because the thing is with to the next project, because the thing is, when you're, like, really hanging on to attachment, I think, like, it holds you back in a way. It really does. So yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. We got to just keep going, move on to the next thing, and keep building your backlog. Your books get discovered more and more if you write many books. Writers write.
This is absolutely true, and another thing is what, KT is here doing with us right now. Get yourself on some podcasts. You can always come talk to me. I'm amplifying all the time, and I'm also an author, so I know what it's like. These are just different ways that You got to try, test out, put your toe in the water and see where it goes. It's a journey, not a destination.
Well, definitely. I don't even know when you feel like you're done. I don't think you ever feel like you're done.
Yeah. I actually have a quote that says a writer's job is never finished. And I do believe that every single one of us, by the time we leave the mortal coil, still has a work in process that's not done.
There you go. Yeah, I agree with you.
So, what role does storytelling play in shaping cultural memory and collective resilience?
Oh my gosh, a huge the storytelling is the oldest form of, what do you call it? What am I trying to say? It's the first thing humans have ever done, basically.
It was our first form of real, like, network communication.
It's, I think, yeah, an art form and everything. Like the first caveman came back, told to his companion, like, "I saw a bear," and they somehow relate that without language. Like they just relate it. It's a story. So this is what it is. Like whatever stories, like they're embedded in our culture. Cultures are embedded in stories, vice versa. So they're important to tell, and they're important to be told by the people who have lived it, especially. So, yeah, like, what would we do without human stories? And this is where I hate the whole, like, those, like, jobs you see where they're like, "Feed AI information so that they can learn to write more like us," like, that kinda thing.
Yeah.
Cannot. Like, no, like, no, maybe have them write technical manuals. I mean, there's jobs for that too, unfortunately, but hey, it's better than have them write, like, human stories, like, and trying to mimic us. Like, no, this is where we come in. This is where we should be relaying our wisdom and like, telling people of our culture and our backgrounds and, like, yeah, stories are everything. Like, I don't even know what more to say than that. Stories are in our DNA.
They are what keep us connected, and I think that that's something really crucial in a time where we feel very disconnected, and I do agree with you, if we allow robots to take over, it will really completely kinda take us out of the equation on being able to connect with each other as human beings, and so that's why every story written, told, and remembered that we share together is a way for us to see our collective humanity, and I think that's how it's the most resilient, honestly.
You said that so eloquently. Yes, that's perfect. Exactly.
So, sustaining a writing practice takes immense discipline, as we all know. How do you stay inspired and grounded through challenges?
I gotta give it the old stick to your routine kind of advice. It could be really hard. So this is my problem. I get like excited. I get an idea and I'm like, but it's not fully fledged. So I kind of write when I feel like it at the beginning. And it's very slow going. Only once I have like that extended outline, I'll call it, like a dirty first draft, I set myself deadlines. Yeah, routine yourself. Write it down, and that's really the way to go. Like, otherwise, it's so easy to procrastinate, it's so easy not to do the thing, it's so easy to like kind of let it go. It wasn't that good. I mean, just know that it does become better with each draft, with each time you visit it. My drafts are so bad. Like they're so bad up until like the fifth one. I'm not a clean writer at all until like the very last one. I'm like, okay, okay.
It's kinda like watching you work across a canvas with a paintbrush, and it's just, like, smears and splatter, and you're like, "I have no idea what this is gonna become," and then it starts to take the shape.
Yes, absolutely. With that said, do the outline, it will help you, and when I mean loose outline, like, it's, full permission to make it a very
Yes,
loose outline,
and
and
you're
you can
right about
change
the
it as you go,
routine,
but
like,
kinda
Stephen King
have it,
has his
know
rit
where you're going.
you're absolutely right about the routine. Stephen King's ritual is 2,000 words a day on whatever his work in progress is,
6
Monday through
pages a
Friday.
day.
Yeah. And so then, in 5 days, you have 10,000 words. So, like, if you do that and you get yourself and of course, everybody's routine looks different, but you find what works for you that becomes your writing ritual and you just stick to it, and that's how you really develop that discipline to get your books.
Yeah, honestly, even if it's 20 minutes in the morning, at least your head gets into that space every day, and then you'll see it expand, or you'll want to carve out more time for it, or you'll find a way to do that, you know?
Yep. So, what have been some of the most affirming or surprising moments you've experienced since publishing your work?
I did. I mean, it got an editor's pick in Book Life by Publishers Weekly, which was like a huge thing that I completely didn't expect. It was like the biggest recognition I could really ask for. And then I got a Chanticleer Paranormal Fiction Award. And so that was just like, it's just these things that you kind of like try for and you're like, whatever, like it's a long shot. And then you feel so validated when these things happen because you're like, okay, so I wasn't dreaming up completely that this, I was like, saying something pretty important here or, whatever. You want people to find and read your stories. So that was very affirming to me because every writer goes through self-doubt. Like pretty much every day, like, and I have it really bad sometimes, like, I get really low moods, and I feel like it's hard to continue. So, when you have even, like, someone just writing to you and saying, "Hey, this was great. I can't wait for the second one," is huge. Like, it's huge. So, yeah, I guess those were the big ones for me.
Well, those are amazing accomplishments, and congratulations to you, KT, on both of those.
Thank you.
Obviously, very deserving writer here. So, how do you hope your writing shifts the way society views creativity, myth, and legacy? How do you hope that your writing shifts the way society views creativity, myth, or legacy?
I hope they see myth as a way to connect with people because like so let's say in the British Isles it's very important to them, especially in Ireland and Scotland. Those are very huge like myth loving cultures. They grew up like learning these stories that are old and ancient and passed down, and it teaches lessons and imparts wisdom, and like it just keeps like a richness in culture. So like I would say let's cherish that. Like I hope you what you get out of this if you do go ahead and read my book is cherish those stories. They're really important to know and to covet sort of. So yeah, view it as a way to view myth as like the most human thing, I think. Like this is what we've like we're using our past and we're using lessons we've learned and like we're using advice for the future all in one myth sometimes. Like it's just so important.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So, for listeners who may be struggling with isolation, illness, or creative doubt, what message of hope would you want to share?
Please know that you're not alone in feeling doubt. Creative doubt is so common and it is hard to get through. But I would say tell yourself that it's really about the process and it's not at all about like the end perfect product. Like it's going to be very difficult to achieve perfection if that's what you have your eyes set on. Like go for enjoy the process, enjoy the part that makes you that sparks that passion in you and that like makes you so happy to be doing what you're doing and just keep going. Like it's really about it's just getting to the end of it and knowing you've done it and it's okay if it's not the perfect thing. You can absolutely keep improving it and just know that every gets better and better and better.
So, what projects, manuscripts, or expansions are you most excited about right now?
I'm excited about my audiobook. As I mentioned earlier, it's been in the works for quite a while. My narrator is, as you know, she's Irish and she's great. And I'm excited for the third book, the third and final in the trilogy. And it is set to release in the spring, 2026. So that's it. The journey has come to an end. And I'm just happy to amplify it now and like shout it out as a full trilogy for you to binge and move on to the next thing.
And finally, what do you envision for the future of your writing and the communities that you're touching?
Envision just like more magical stories. I really love mysticism and I love landscapes. So I think I'll always have stories that kind of take place in places I find completely out of this world and beautiful. And for the community, like I would love to just like keep growing it and getting a little bit more comfortable with it. I'm still not quite there. It's not my instinct really to like open up an app and start writing and sharing things, but I hope to get there. I think now that my focus is shifting and this is complete, I'll engage more and I can discover more of what everyone has out there. I love supporting indie authors. They're just as talented, if not more, especially with everything they take on. And I want to amplify your voice too.
Well, that is awesome. Katie, thank you for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your vision with us today. Your work reminds us that storytelling is not only about imagination, it's about resilience, healing, and legacy. And to our listeners, may you carry forward the inspiration Katie has offered and remember that creativity is a form of empowerment. Until next time, this has been the Mind of Sai Marie.